We are live. Look at that. This is Paul Romero with the Sell a House, Wholesale Real Estate Investing Series number 169 on this, what is this, September 25th, 2015, Freedom Friday, as you can tell by the Hawaiian shirt. Always a Hawaiian shirt on Freedom Friday. Well, sometimes I space it out, but for the most part, that's the way it goes. And we have a mystery guest today, or not a mystery guest, but a missing guest today. John Leister hasn't been around for a while. How are we doing today, Mr. J?
Excellent. It's Freedom Friday. I'm excited to be on the Hangout. It's been, probably almost 2 weeks since the last time I joined in on one. And when I did join in last, I was in South Carolina in a hotel resort on the beach, and that was an amazing, awesome, fun-filled trip. And I want to just thank Paul, and I want to thank Kim and Mark and Bob and Lisa and Daniel and everyone else that's on our team. If I'm forgetting somebody, I think I got everybody, and Brian for continuing to get deals and make things happen while I was out of town.
And Angelique.
And Angelique. Yes, awesome. And the reason I want to thank those guys here on Freedom Friday is because I got the freedom to go on vacation and not worry about my income, not worry about my business and what's going on, because I know that I've got a team in place that are going to continue operating and running the business and generating deals and making acquisitions and making sales and closing and basically securing my paycheck. So thanks, guys. Welcome to the Hangout. It's Freedom Friday. And I see Paul is on the phone right now, probably something important. So
I just need to get a hold of. Yes, I can. I just need to grant access to the community again to show that house to another realtor to show that house.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Locking in a deal for us. We've got a house in a gated community that we're selling, and it's kind of a pain in the butt because every single time a realtor or somebody wants to show that house, they got to call and get him to call the security office to get permission. But Paul, one of the things that I'd like to kind of touch upon today in light of what I brought up there about being on vacation and whatnot is how important to be truly successful in your own business and to be truly successful in real estate, whether you're a real estate agent, especially if you're a broker, if you're a wholesaler, an investor. This is a business you really can't do all on your own, and having a team, a power team, as Robert Kiyosaki likes to point out, putting together your power team is so critically important to the success. And it's not just the people that are working directly for your business, but it's also your vendors, your attorneys, your accountants, your bookkeepers, and your title companies. So, having a team is an important thing. So let me toss it back over to Paul here. He'll get the ball rolling, and let's just jump into hanging out and talking about things.
I mean, that's a pretty good subject right there. That whole gated communities, though, that's a whole lot of fun. When you're working in gated communities that don't let anybody in for any reason whatsoever, you have to be contacting the security office every time somebody wants to come see your property, or every time you need to get somebody in there to, turn a screw on the sink to stop the little drip. But, whatever it is, every time you got to be contacting those guys, and it can turn into a pain in the butt. But hopefully this will turn into a good deal. It will make money, and it will make all that pain in the butt action worth it.
Absolutely.
And like John was saying, your team, and your power team is sort of sort of like your outside sources, so to speak. But your inner team as well too, like I threw in there, your assistant. You may have somebody that answers calls for you. You may have somebody, you may have a system that answers some calls for you while you're off hours or something like that. That's sort of part of your internal team. There's sort of like an external team and an internal team. So, power team's more than just, the external other sort of professionals who, play a role in operating a wholesale real estate business. You also have, and even you running it yourself, you're probably going to have somewhat of an internal team, at least in the way of some kind of an assistant, whether it's a live person or a VA potentially, and or like I said, what is it? What was the other one I just said?
And you were talking about an assistant, the internal power team.
Yeah, but there was somebody else. But you might have. Of course. Yeah, you might have people that are doing or sort of doing some bird dogging for you. That could be part of your internal team. There's a whole lot of pieces to what both sides, the external power team and the internal power team, because you're going to want to have you might have a researcher for you who's doing some public record work for you or something like that. There's a lot of pieces on the inside that also go with the whole idea of a power team.
Yes, absolutely. And part of the power team too, and this is something that I didn't really realize in the beginning how important it would end up being in the team. But as you want to have a good partnership too, I think, with a real estate agent and a brokerage that understands wholesale real estate, understands assignment of contracts, and understands that it is 100% legal. As long as you have certain things written into your contract to list the properties that you're acquiring. And when you can utilize the agents and the brokers to go ahead and list your wholesale deal on the MLS, which for those of you that are new, you might not know what the MLS is. I think for the first 6 months that I was in real estate and I heard MLS, I had no idea what anyone was talking about. And my mindset wasn't where it was today, and I was afraid to ask people what it was because I'm like, everyone knows what it is. I don't want to sound stupid. So, MLS. Oh, yeah. It's a multiple listing service. It's what realtors use to list the properties and basically market properties, and that's where the majority of traditional real estate sales take place through the MLS. When you, as a retail buyer, and you go out and you hire an agent to help you find a home, that's where they're looking for you, is on the MLS. So having the ability to list your wholesale deals on the MLS opens you up to the majority of the market. And actually, believe it or not, a majority of the investors aren't buying properties at public auctions. They aren't marketing directly to sellers. They're buying their properties off the MLS, which, quite frankly, Paul and I, besides a couple of HUD properties that we flipped at 2 years ago now at this point, we've not probably contracted one property off the MLS, quite frankly, because it's extremely difficult to score a good deal, especially a wholesale deal off the internet. Off of the MLS. But if you got a contract directly from a seller on a great deal, you could certainly list it there, and you're going to make a quite substantially higher profit probably than marketing on your own. And guess what that does for you as well? You put it on there, your broker and the agents are kind of doing that work for you, and now you don't have to really worry about getting your property marketed and sold. You can kind of just pass the buck off. I've been lucky enough to make a relationship with a broker who lists the property for us at 0.5% and a flat $325 fee, non-exclusive. So if I find my own buyer, I could bypass the broker altogether and close, privately. So you want to make sure that you understand a few things before you go that route. Understand the parameters of the deal, and you want to be able to have an escape clause in your contract with the broker so that you could go around them to sell it. And you also want to be listing that property so that you're only having to give a 3.5% commission rather than the standard 6% commission, because that's 2.5% more in your pocket at the end of the day. So throwing that in there, that it is important to start making relationships and contacts with real estate agents for that reason. And also, real estate agents, if they understand the wholesale side of things, could be a great source for bringing you deals as well.
And another potentiality is that, you build a little bit of a relationship with one, and maybe they'll even grant you access to their MLS so that you can have better quality information when working your comps. So that's another potential possibility, that you could work with the MLS. There is a way that I think any real estate agent can sign somebody up as I forget exactly the term that they use, but it's like an assistant, and they can actually sort of legally give almost anybody access to their multiple listing service. You can have that for comparables when you're looking at your comp properties. And speaking of the sort of statistics, and looking at comps and whatnot, most every statistic that you hear about real estate and what's going on in the marketplace, and what the median values are, and where the lower value, what people are paying, where the hot markets are, what the appreciation is, how much are they selling more, what's the sold to the listing to sold price. I mean, most all of these statistics that you will hear come from the records of the MLS. So they're not generally pulling from sources like Zillow or other places where they might have other information, but they're really looking at what's happening on the MLS is where 99% of all the statistics come from. So that can be, I mean, it's a good thing, but it can also be a little bit skewed, which I just want to kind of put out there, that, most of the statistical information that you see and that you're looking at and you're making your market decisions on and your investing decisions on, are based upon the activities out of the MLS, which doesn't necessarily include a lot of potential, cash sales. Obviously, it doesn't include any sort of assignment sales, or things like that. Double closings can maybe be, I'm not quite sure, but maybe they can be portrayed differently within the way these statistics are looked at through the MLS. So there's a lot of factors out there that could play into what these market statistics are that, the general media and public see, that I think, as investors, we need to be able to, be a little more discerning about what we believe and really look a little bit deeper into what's really going on, opposed to what, just the MLS statistics show us.
Absolutely. And if you don't have access to the MLS, there are a couple of good websites where you can get statistics, get estimations. You could kind of comp a property, though it's not as reliable. There's services you can pay for, and then there's services or websites that you can get a free account. I personally really like the Zillow website. A lot of investors give it a bum rap, but honestly, between MLS and Zillow, I can pretty much do all my statistics. And then there's another one here that I believe is just local. I don't know if it has services available nationally. It's kind of local to Phoenix, I think, is Net Value Central. Now, I personally and Paul personally don't have an account, but we have a silent partner that we work with that does a lot of our estimating, pulls a lot of our comps and leads for us, and he's big into utilizing Net Value Central. So that's another one. But between Zillow and the MLS, you can get a real good glimpse of the market, because what you can see on Zillow that you're not going to see on MLS is you will be able to see the cash sales, the off-market sales. You'll be able to see that on the MLS. Plus, one thing I do like about MLS, it has charts that basically show you particular, if you're looking at a particular house in a particular area, zip code rather, area codes on the phones, a particular zip code can show you the pricing history for that house and a graph, and it also show over a 10-year span, and also show you a general graph for that subdivision and for that zip code itself. And I kind of like that because you can kind of see where the market's trending in those areas. Is it a hot area? Is it appreciating fast? Has it been stagnant? Is it coming down? And it gives you a good glimpse into that. Also, what Zillow does is gives you a zestimate, they call it, which is an estimate of the value of the price on their home. Not always reliable. It's more reliable for single families. It's not really good with multifamilies and condo townhomes, because what it'll do is it'll pull an estimation of all the properties in an area. So if you're looking at a condo in the middle of a single family residential neighborhood, it's going to comp that condo and it's going to compare it to single family homes where the values are completely different. But I find that Zillow is correct within a 10% give or take margin, so it's a good way to get a kind of a quick idea of value. And another reason I like it is because you can directly link through to the county assessor site or county websites to get some information about the house, tax information, owner information, zoning information, things like that. So it's a great source, Zillow.com. I would recommend checking it out. And if you don't have MLS, start getting familiar with the ins and outs of that site, because it's number one, it's free, and number two, it's a good tool to have and to utilize.
Yeah, I'm not that we're promoting Zillow today, but I'm just going to point out that there's two other features that I like about it as well too. And whenever I'm comping a property, I go to Zillow. I actually type in the address to Zillow first before I go to the MLS, because I need to. Oftentimes, the property that I'm looking for doesn't have a recent listing history within the MLS. So I'll go to Zillow and I can find where that property is on Zillow that I'm looking for, and then I can find a recent listed or sold property, which I can then take that address to the MLS so I can find the area that I'm looking for to run my comps off of. Another feature that I use when I'm comping properties, I use Zillow on every property that I'm comping, even if for nothing more than just that. So the second thing that I like about Zillow is that they also show you the transaction history. So you can kind of go back and you can see when the property was sold, how much it sold for, et cetera, and so on. So that can give you an idea right then and there. You might look at a property and say, well, this thing last sold in 2006 for a ridiculous price. There may not be a deal here because this property might be upside down still today. You know what I mean? So that's a good little way to sort of just get a very quick glimpse as to whether or not you may have a possible deal here. And then the other thing that I like about it too is it also offers sort of a mapping feature. You have to go off the main page into a different location, but it also offers a mapping feature where you can, sort of do your comps on Zillow as well too, and you can instead of just taking the Zestimate, which is I believe probably pulled from just a half mile or a mile radius kind of a estimate, algorithm. You can actually go to a mapping system where you can actually map out whatever area that you specifically want to look at and get the comps from, and then see something of a little more focused area. So like John said, you're not actually looking at stuff that is maybe a half a mile away, but all of a sudden you're looking at a high-class gated community that the values are $50,000 higher. That could drive that Zestimate upwards. Or vice versa, half a mile to the south might all of a sudden cross the railroad tracks, and you all know what that means. Don't want to go on the other side of the tracks, right? But anyway, the other thing is, what was I going to say? I don't know why my mind is blanking out today. That's like the fifth time I was in the middle of a conversation. I can't remember what I was talking about. uh,
Avocados.
what's that?
Eat more avocados, omega-3, brain power.
Yeah, avocados, fish oil. I'm doing it all the time, man. I don't know, it ain't working. So anyway, those are a couple of features, like I said, that I like about Zillow too, that I like to use within the system. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Within the mapping system, one of the drawbacks you got to be careful for and looking at is the fact that it will give you really, really old comps. Sometimes it'll show you comps all the way back to like 2012. Kind of irrelevant, okay? Just kept bouncing off the bottom of the market. Those prices really irrelevant to what's going on today. So you got to be a little bit careful as to what you're looking at within that mapping feature. That was the thing I was thinking about.
Right. So that's that's one tool. There's other websites too, Redfin, Trulia, but quite frankly, I personally don't ever use them anymore. I mean, before I had MLS access, Redfin is a good one if you're just got if you don't have a realtor yet and you want to get a glimpse of property and property values, Redfin's a good one because sometimes it's a little bit more up to date, I realize, than Zillow with listed properties and seeing pictures of listed properties and stuff like that. I don't know why. I don't even know if that's still even true because it's been months since I've gotten on Redfin, but it just doesn't have those same features and user friendly as Zillow. But try them out. Redfin's one, Trulia's one. They're tools that will help until you get someone on your team that's going to allow you MLS access. The point here is explore these websites a little bit, get an idea. They'll give you an idea of what's going on in the market, help familiarize you with real estate. And in the meantime, you need to be putting together a power team here if you're going to be successful. Another kind of tip here now, okay, so how do I meet agents? How do I meet brokers? It's this magical little word we've all heard, and none of us really know how to do, and that's networking, going out and meeting people. For that, check out meetup.com and search around that website. Basically, people put together networking groups. I would venture to say, because I know this is true for Phoenix, that there's 100 networking groups probably going on just about every single day of the week for anything you can think of, from people who like to play poker, people who like to build Legos, to people who like to invest in stocks, in bonds, to people who invest in the Forex market, to people who invest in rental real estate, wholesaling real estate, flipping real estate. For whatever thing you're interested in and you want to meet people interested in the same thing, check out meetup.com and just search for groups on there that have a topic that you're interested in, and go to some meetups and meet some people. And that's a great way to start out to make connections. Going to a real estate investing group, you never know. You're going to meet private money lenders. You're going to meet people who are already doing wholesale real estate. You're going to meet flippers. You're going to meet attorneys. You're going to meet brokers, title officers. You're going to meet real estate agents. And that's really of critical importance. That really, Paul and I say this all the time on these hangouts, that, especially when you have no experience, you want to learn from people who have experience. You want to learn from the right people that are successful and actually out there doing what it is you want to do. But that's a great way to start. And also, just about everybody nowadays has a Facebook account. Start searching for people on Facebook that are involved in the industry you're involved in, and start making friends and connections on Facebook and posting about real estate. I know I'm getting real general and throwing out a lot of ideas here, but the point I'm trying to make about throughout this hangout about the power team and not doing this thing alone is you're going to have to meet new people that are involved in real estate. And another reason why I bring this up is Paul and I are big into mindset. A lot of people are doing real estate for the first time. It's a great way to break out of your comfort zone and meet new people and get out of who you are and expand yourself.
Facebook,
meetup.com, great sources for that.
I can't speak for everyone, but you know what? When you do start into this business and you realize, how much relationships do matter, and you do sort of begin to start networking, you're really going to start to realize how small your circle of influence, your circle of life really is, and how big the pond that you swim in is, so to speak, or whatever, whatever terminology you want to use for that. You're really going to start to see how, like I said, how sort of narrowed down you've created your little sphere of influence of people over the years. And it's amazing, like I said, I can speak for myself. My pond was pretty small, if the sun came out on a hot day, it might have dried up. But but what is a definition of networking? It is the cultivating of mutually beneficial, give and take, win-win relationships. All right, that's pretty much the definition of networking. So it's not just going out and talking to people and getting business cards, and then taking them home and sitting them on your desk and never talking to that person again. That's not cultivating anything. That cultivated 5 minutes of a conversation is all that cultivated, and it's over and done with. It cultivated, past tense, finished, done, over with. Cultivating is continuing, ongoing, to build and grow something of value, which in this particular case, as we said, mutually beneficial, win-win, relationships. So that's what networking is. Just to kind of clarify, it's not just going out to an event, talking to somebody and getting a business card. You didn't network anything. Okay, you went out and had a good time and talked to some people. That's all you did. You didn't network jack. All right. The networking starts after the event. Now, when you get to making a follow-up phone call with somebody to figure out how you guys can further this relationship and help each other to accomplish more in your businesses or your ventures or whatever it is that you found that connection about. So that's networking. Doesn't happen at the event. That's like introduction. All right, we're going to an introduction event. The networking begins when the event ends.
That's a good point to make because most people don't know how to network. And I'm speaking from my experiences and from my past, and I'll tell you right now, I'm no networking professional by any means, but I've realized some of the do's and don'ts of going out and networking. When you go out to a networking event and you're looking to meet people, you're there to meet people. As Paul said, make an introduction. Don't take a business card unless you really intend on ever contacting that person and trying to figure out a way to do business. And one of the biggest faux pas, if you will, and a big turnoff to most people, and the funny thing about this is, although this is a turnoff for most people go out and do exactly this. They try to sell you their services at the networking event. Really, your job at a networking event is that. The word work is in there. You're there to meet people that you may be able to offer a solution to, or maybe they offer a solution to you. You're not there to pitch them on your product or your service. You are there to introduce them to who you are and what you do, but you're really there to listen to what they're looking for, what their needs are, and figuring out if that person is a match for what you have to offer. We're wholesalers. So when I go to a networking event, I'm looking for really anybody that might be able to offer me a service for my business, insurance agents, attorneys, real estate agents, brokers, that sort of thing. But I'm also looking to fill a gap for some people. Private money lender. I have money, but I can't find properties to invest in. I want to sit down to lunch with that guy. Hard money lenders that are looking for people who are hungry to get involved in real estate. And I can, the solution that Paul and I can offer is, we're currently averaging about 8 to 12 deals a month in escrow. We're looking to make those numbers between 17 and 22 by year's end, 17 to 22 deals a month, and we're going to need
just go for 25. Don't be being weenie about it.
All right, 25 deals a month. So basically, we're looking to double what we're doing currently. But you know, we need money for that. We need investors. We need to know. We need marketing skills. We need, you know, team members, drivers, callers, people who are hungry to learn the business. So we go out there and we introduce ourselves and we listen and to what other people have or want, so we can kind of see how we can fit together the pieces to make it a win-win. Give that definition of networking again.
The cultivating of a mutually beneficial relationship to create win-win situations or something like that. That's pretty much what it is.
That sums it up. And I mean, we could talk about the proper way to network. I mean, that's a whole that could be hundreds of hangouts, really.
Reading it exactly as it makes more sense is the cultivating of mutually beneficial give and take win-win relationships.
There you go. Well, I do notice, Paul, that it's it's after the 9 o'clock hour now. So just to recap here, I mean, this is an important concept that we talked about today about building your team. And one of the ways you're going to go out and be able to build that team is by learning how to become a networker and being open to meeting people and listening to what people have to say. Shouldn't be about you when you go and you meet new people. You should make it about them. Ask them questions, listen to what their needs are so you can provide the solution or create a situation where you can help each other win at things. You know, Monday we're going to come back here. We're going to get into some of the specifics of how to deal with people. Continuing our discussion on the How to Win Friends and Influence People book. I missed Monday's hangout. I know we were into chapter 1, so are you still there, Paul?
Yeah, actually, we actually got through to the end of chapter 1, and we're actually moving into chapter 2. So do your homework and read up, and we'll see you on New Op Day with the the How to Win Friends and Influence People, moving into chapter 2, which I don't have the name of that chapter offhand. I do have the book right here, though, so we can find out what that is. It's this is in, just to clarify, this is in part 1. This is a whole section, okay? Part 1 is the fundamental techniques of handling people. That's what we're really going after here in this section 1. Chapter 1 was if you want to gather honey, don't kick over the beehive, and talks about really just not pissing people off. And then chapter 2 is the big secret of dealing with people, and that's where we're headed Monday. Or I'm sorry, that's where we're headed on New Op Day. So go ahead, take us on, John.
Well, you know what I'll say. You know, New Op Day is a great hangout. Again, you know, if you're joining us for the first time, I urge you to come here on New Op Day, which for you. That's what Paul and I rename Mondays. Get yourself a copy of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie and read through the introductions, the acknowledgments, the preface of the book, because there's a lot of interesting, important information in every sentence of that book. And get yourself through chapter 2 so that you can join in the conversation on New Op Day. And with that, happy Freedom Friday. Go out there. Let's kick some ass today and throughout the climax of this session, and I'll end it with the Napoleon Hill prayer that goes, "Oh universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom," because that's the key. More wisdom with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, through the power to control and to direct my own mind to whatever ends I may desire. So with that, have a great day, and we'll see you back here at New Op.
Yes, goodbye everybody, and goodbye Fluctuating Bubblehead John.